What if I told you that one of television's most beloved characters is actually a masterclass in psychological manipulation? A walking study in the darkest corners of human nature. Raymond Red Reddington isn't just a charming criminal with a taste for fine wine and obscure anecdotes. He's a carefully constructed facade, hiding layers of trauma, narcissism, and calculated control that would make even the most seasoned psychologists take a step back. Today, we're diving deep into the twisted mind of the Blacklist's enigmatic anti-hero to uncover the disturbing psychological mechanisms that make him tick. Raymond Reddington
My name is Raymond Reddington.
operates in a moral gray area so dark it's practically black. Yet millions of viewers find themselves drawn to him like moths to a flame. Why? Because Red doesn't just break the rules of society. He rewrites them entirely, creating his own moral universe where he sits firmly at the center. To understand the dark psychology of Raymond Reddington, we need to peel back the layers of charm, wit, and apparent benevolence to expose the calculating predator underneath. Let's start with the most obvious aspect of Red's psychological profile: his pathological need for control. From the very first episode, Red surrenders himself to the FBI, but make no mistake, this isn't submission. It's the ultimate power move. He doesn't just want to help catch criminals. He demands to speak only to Elizabeth Keene, a rookie profiler he's somehow fixated on. He sets the terms, the conditions, the entire framework of the relationship. This is classic dominant behavior, masked as cooperation. Control for Reddington isn't just a preference, it's oxygen. Every conversation, every interaction, every seemingly spontaneous moment is orchestrated with the precision of a master conductor. He controls through information, doling out breadcrumbs of truth while hoarding the full picture like a dragon guards gold. This informational imbalance creates a power dynamic where everyone around him is perpetually off balance, always needing him, always dependent on his next revelation. It's psychological warfare disguised as mentorship. But control is just the surface. Underneath lies something far more complex and disturbing: Red's relationship with identity itself. The question of who is Raymond Reddington isn't just the show's central mystery, it's a window into profound psychological dissociation. Whether he's the real Reddington or an imposter who assumed that identity, the fact remains that he has completely subsumed himself into this persona. This level of identity replacement speaks to either severe trauma requiring complete personality reconstruction, or a sociopathic ability to detach from one's authentic self entirely. This brings us to perhaps the darkest aspect of Red's psychology: his capacity for compartmentalization. He can order someone's execution over breakfast and then deliver a moving monologue about the sanctity of human connection by lunch. He can torture information out of someone and then weep genuine tears at an opera. This isn't hypocrisy. It's something more sinister. It's the ability to hold contradictory moral frameworks simultaneously without experiencing cognitive dissonance. Psychologically speaking, this suggests either profound trauma that fragmented his psyche or the absence of a unified moral core that most humans possess. Red's relationship with violence is particularly revealing. He doesn't revel in brutality like a sadist, nor does he avoid it like someone with empathy. Instead, he treats violence as a tool, no different from a negotiation or a bribe. This instrumental view of harm, where human suffering is simply a means to an end, is a hallmark of antisocial personality disorder. Yet Red clearly forms attachments, shows loyalty, and demonstrates what appears to be genuine love. This contradiction is what makes him so psychologically complex and, frankly, disturbing. let's talk about Red's charm, because it's perhaps his most dangerous weapon. Charisma in the hands of someone like Reddington isn't just personality, it's predation. He uses wit, intelligence, and cultural sophistication to disarm people, to make them forget what he's capable of. Those rambling stories about rare vintages or obscure historical events, they're not just quirks. They're calculated methods of establishing intellectual dominance and creating rapport. He makes you feel special, chosen, understood. And by the time you realize you've been manipulated, you're already in too deep. This type of superficial charm paired with manipulative behavior is textbook psychopathy. But here's where Reddington becomes even more psychologically interesting. He seems to genuinely believe in his own mythology. The stories he tells aren't just manipulation, they're how he's rewritten his own narrative. He's the hero of his own story, the necessary evil, the man who does dark things for the greater good. This level of self-justification suggests either profound narcissism or a dissociative defense mechanism that allows him to function despite the weight of his actions. Red's attachment to Elizabeth Keene reveals another layer of his dark psychology. On the surface, it appears paternal, protective, even loving. But examine it closely, and you'll see something far more troubling. Obsession. He upends her life, puts her in constant danger, lies to her repeatedly, and manipulates every aspect of her existence, all while claiming it's for her protection. This isn't love, it's possession. It's the mentality of someone who views another person as an extension of themselves, a chess piece in their grand game, a project to be controlled and directed. The lengths Red goes to in order to maintain his connection with Liz, destroying her relationships, eliminating threats real and perceived, orchestrating her entire life from the shadows. A border on pathological obsession. He can't let go because she represents something he needs. Perhaps redemption, perhaps a connection to his lost identity, or perhaps simply someone he can mold and control completely. Whatever the reason, his fixation has narcissistic undertones that suggest Liz fulfills a psychological need rather than being valued as an autonomous person. We also can't ignore Red's relationship with mortality and legacy. For someone who operates in the criminal underworld, who has made countless enemies and lives under constant threat, Red displays a fascinating lack of fear regarding his own death. In fact, he seems almost preoccupied with how he'll be remembered rather than the fact that he'll die. This concern with legacy over survival suggests someone who has long since made peace with their own end, or someone whose sense of self is so tied to their reputation that physical death is less frightening than being forgotten or misremembered. This ties into what psychologists call terror management theory, the idea that humans cope with the inevitability of death by investing in symbolic immortality through legacy, reputation, and impact on others. Red has constructed an empire, both criminal and mythological, that will outlive him. He's not just a criminal, he's a legend. A story that will be told long after he's gone. This need for significance, to be remembered as important and powerful, speaks to a deep existential anxiety masked by bravado. Red's moral code, such as it is, deserves scrutiny. He presents himself as a man of honor among thieves, someone with lines he won't cross. But these lines are arbitrary, self-serving, and subject to change based on his needs. He'll spare an innocent one day and sacrifice one the next if it serves his purpose. This selective morality isn't really morality at all. It's pragmatism dressed up in philosophical language to maintain the illusion of principle. It allows him to feel superior to common criminals while engaging in the same activities. This kind of moral flexibility is psychologically fascinating because it reveals someone who has created their own ethical framework entirely divorced from societal norms. He's not a sociopath who lacks understanding of right and wrong. He's something potentially more dangerous. Someone who understands conventional morality perfectly well, but has consciously chosen to operate outside it while maintaining the vocabulary of ethics to manipulate others. The trauma underlying Red's psychology cannot be overlooked. Whether it's the loss of his family, the betrayal that led to his transformation, or the constant violence he's witnessed and perpetrated, Red is clearly a man shaped by profound psychological wounds. But here's what makes him dark rather than tragic. He's weaponized that trauma. Instead of seeking healing, he's used his pain as justification for creating more pain. He's turned his suffering into a tool for domination and control. This is the psychology of someone who decided that if the world is cruel, they'll be crueler. If the system is corrupt, they'll corrupt it further to their advantage. There's no healing arc here, no redemption through addressing root causes. Just an endless cycle of trauma begetting more trauma, pain creating more pain, all orchestrated by someone intelligent enough to make it look like strategy rather than pathology. Red's relationships across the board follow disturbing patterns. He collects people, Dembe, Mr. Kaplan, various members of his organization, not as equals, but as extensions of his will. He inspires fierce loyalty through a combination of charisma, shared trauma, and strategic benevolence, but always maintains hierarchical control. The moment someone threatens his dominance or acts independently in ways he didn't authorize, they become expendable. This isn't partnership, it's psychological colonization. Even his relationship with Dembe, perhaps the most genuine connection he maintains, is tainted by power imbalance. Dembe may be respected, even loved, but he's still fundamentally in service to Red's agenda. The psychological dynamic is that of a benevolent dictator and his most trusted advisor. There's affection, yes, but also clear stratification of power. What makes Reddington's psychology truly dark is the awareness behind it all. He's not an impulsive criminal acting on base instincts. He's a calculated operator who understands psychology, manipulation, and human nature at an expert level. He knows what he's doing, why he's doing it, and what impact it has on others. This level of conscious manipulation, of deliberately exploiting psychological vulnerabilities while maintaining plausible deniability, is what separates someone like Red from a common criminal. He's a psychological predator who has studied his prey so thoroughly that he can anticipate moves before they're made, counter-arguments before they're voiced, and exploit weaknesses people don't even know they have. The stories, the charm, the apparent vulnerability he occasionally shows, these are all carefully calibrated tools in a psychological arsenal designed to disarm, manipulate, and control. In the end, Raymond Reddington represents something deeply unsettling. The idea that intelligence, charm, and cultural sophistication can coexist with profound moral bankruptcy. He's a reminder that the most dangerous people aren't always the obviously violent or cruel. Sometimes they're the ones who make you complicit in your own manipulation, who have you defending their actions even as they destroy everything around them, who convince you that their darkness is actually a necessary shade of gray. The dark psychology of Raymond Reddington isn't just about what he does. It's about how he makes us feel about what he does. That's the real trick, the ultimate manipulation. He's constructed a psychological fortress so elaborate, so compelling, that we forget we're watching a man who has left a trail of bodies, broken lives, and shattered moral boundaries in his wake. We're so enchanted by the performance that we miss the predator behind the mask. And maybe that's the darkest thing of all. The possibility that a part of us doesn't want to look too closely, because we've already been caught in Raymond Reddington's most insidious trap. The one where we root for the monster because he's made monstrosity look magnificent. If this deep dive into the twisted psychology of Raymond Reddington got you thinking about the dark complexity of television's most fascinating anti-hero, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more psychological breakdowns of your favorite characters. Drop a comment below telling me which character you want me to analyze next. Because trust me, we're just getting started on exploring the minds that keep us up at night.